First off, I would like to say before I get going, this live is going to be unscripted, off the top of my head, hip, heart, to YouTube. And for those that are listening, I would hope that you guys would give me some input as far as how you feel. Be respectful in the chat room. To YouTube, this is not Islamophobic in which I'm about to express on this live. This is my feelings as a Black American, indigenous to America. I don't have ties to Africa. 400 or 500 years ago, I don't consider that relevant. In my mind, that's my opinion, that's my right, that's my choice, that's my voice. I am not a Pan-African. When I discovered what Pan-Africanism was, it was in 2018 when I had fractured or broke my ankle, and I was stuck in the bed for about 10 months. That's when I discovered YouTube, and I discovered different platforms continuously hammering this concept of Pan-African talk or Pan-Africanism. I looked it up, and an alert came off to me that it was not a genuine descriptive of what was going on in the world. There is no such unity that's found in Africa like that. Of course, people are talking about Burkina Faso, bigging up Captain Touré, who is seemingly doing better than most after he did a coup a few years ago in Burkina Faso. He has galvanized many minds of people in thinking that his idea of Pan-Africanism is a realistic phenomenon. I believe that it remains to be seen. There's a lot more work to do to unify with just between three countries. There's still 51 countries that are not a part of Burkina Faso and their movement. I believe that there's countries such as Nigeria and others that are against Burkina Faso because Nigeria, President Tinubu. I believe he works in concert with the French president, and other presidents are in the back pocket of the used to be colonizer or present tense colonizer, like China and Russia, and others that have been around for a great deal of time. I mean, I salute this Captain Toure, but again, it's over there in Africa. I have nothing to do with his success or failure. Whatever happens, happens over there. But catching up to Pan-Africanism, it is, in my mind, an ideology or a religion that is a fantasy that people have conjured up to use as a tool to colonize Black Americans to this scheme to colonize them, their resources, their identity, their history, their voice, their choice, and to pretty much take over the position, the autonomy, the agency that we have here in America as being an American, and they are trying to flip it to be about them in control and over us, which I am in total disagreement with. I knew maybe back in 2019 that the African Union, alongside of Dr. Ericana Chiahombre Quao, who used to be the ambassador to the African Union, were paying too much attention and kind of obsessed with this notion of a diaspora and throwing Black Americans into this mindset or thought process that we were a part of this diaspora. Now, in my mind, the people that are a part of a diaspora are actually from the continent of Africa. They're actually from the countries of Haiti, Jamaica, and other islands, and that they travel to other countries that are not their homeland, and they would be deemed the diasporan of their home country. The difference is Black Americans, so-called African Americans, we like to call ourselves, well, some people, I would say, like to call themselves now on YouTube Foundational Black American or ADOS. I have called myself Indigenous Black American or Indigenous American Black to distinguish myself away from immigrants. And the reason being is because immigrants I discovered in 2018-19 were saying on platforms that they were utilizing the term African American and Black American and saying it was their identity too. And I'm like, how can you share my identity when you have your own? How is it possible for you to be from Nigeria? In my mind, you are a Nigerian American, and you're talking about you're me. It came to light that the African American term basically has been used as a tool to hustle and to keep Black Americans at the bottom here in America, while other agendas and other groups of people are elevated above the Indigenous American Black. These people have utilized the African American term for scholarships. They have utilized it to run for office. They have utilized it to become famous. And once they become famous and recognized, then they tear off the name of African American or Black American, and they say, hey, I'm the first Haitian, I'm the first Jamaican, I'm the first Nigerian, I'm the first this and that and the other. So it has become a way to scam into America and to elevate themselves over the American Blacks. And now it's been understood to be the hustle of all hustles, which made us collectively online decide to self identify ourselves for the very first time. And people are really going stir crazy about it. Why would you go stir crazy about somebody that's just trying to make their identity clear and separate from you? If it was not something that was connecting you, benefiting off of utilizing the name and keeping things as is. A lot of Africans, unfortunately, and immigrants, Carribeans, they have been enjoying the festivities of hustling our American system. They have come over here, and a lot of them are over here illegally, past visas, fake IDs, scams galore. And now the boogeyman has come in Trump, President Trump. And he has tore up the whole entire scheme that has been going on for decades now. Now there's mass deportations, there's firings all over the place. There's nowhere to hide if you are here illegally, and people are really very uncomfortable, and they feel as if Black Americans are to work on their behalf to make them feel better or get over this hump of being targeted. And for the first time, Black Americans have stood up and said, hell nah. What's up, Leonard? How are you doing? Thank you for being here. Yes, I did. I called it years ago, Leonard. Thank you for acknowledging it. Thank you, Damon and Gamer Boy, for being here, and everybody else that will be here or not be here. This is my backup channel, by the way. For those that are listening, if you could please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. I had an issue, a technicality with my other channel. I can't go live on it right now, so I have to get another phone to be able to do so. So in the meanwhile, I just wanted to let out my emotions on this live in case they strike it or they take it away, the video or whatever, but I want to get it all out. Again, I discovered in 2018 mass amounts of immigrants, Africans, Caribbeans, declaring our governmental issued name entitled African American. And I thought it was very odd because honestly, I went to college in the 90s, early 90s. And when I met Africans in Ohio, they seemed to be very content with their identity as being a part of a tribe, a part of their country, whatever, and this and that and the other. And it didn't dawn on me until I came to YouTube how much of a scam our name had become. Now, let me give you an example of what I mean. Years ago, there was this Indian guy who ended up being a student to become a doctor. And he made himself appear to be an African American, y'all. Faked on his college application, declaring to be an African American. And then, you know, I started understanding that this was an issue with the usage of the African American term. A lot of us have wakened up to that reality, and we have declared our own individual grouping of an identity. And a lot, and I mean a lot, of people are very, very dissatisfied about our decision to self-declare our own identity because they had everything to gain by keeping us as is, because they were using us as a buffet. They were eating off of us. They were leeching off of us. They were taking advantage of us. They were keeping us down at the bottom. Things were looking better for them, and we were being asked out. And that's the way people desire to keep us. And I never thought that our people, my people rather, would ever wake up. And I would say that this has been the year of discovery, and many of us have wakened up. But let's look at this clip real quick. This came from CNN about 7 years ago, and it describes this Indian guy who had the audacity to claim to be an African American. Check this out.
When it comes to college admissions, how much of a role should race play? That question back in the news this week. For the first time in Harvard University's history, the majority of students accepted into the incoming freshman class identify as non-white, 50.8% to be precise. But at the same time came news that the Department of Justice is investigating allegations the school is denying places to qualified Asian American students. VJ Jojo Chokolingam, now the head of admissions consultant at Interview SOS, has a unique experience with this topic. An Indian American, he realized the only way that he would be accepted at med school would be to pass as black. He chronicled his experiences in his book, Almost Black, the true story of how I got into medical school by pretending to be black. VJ Joko.
And instead of this guy being penalized, being charged with something, going to jail, having some type of punishment, he's up on the camera telling this story like it's nothing. There is absolutely nothing to lose if you are out here pretending to be me. It's everything to be gained by these immigrants pretending to be African American. That is the biggest hustle of all hustles that I want Africans and immigrants to understand. I know that not all immigrants are doing what this guy has done, but plenty have. And this is why we are in an uproar. This is why Black Americans are saying to hell with African American term, to hell with the Black American term. We need to craft a better name for ourselves that immigrants can't tether or leech upon, so that we cannot be taken advantage of and being used. Imagine this is a scholarship or program that this Indian guy got into, lying about who he was. So he essentially blocked and barred a real Black American from having access to the program in which he signed up for, pretending to be an African American. And this is an issue. Let's go.
Chokol Ingham joins me now. So you were studying statistics at the University of Chicago, and you say to yourself, I don't stand a chance with my 3.1. What did you do?
Well, I shaved my head, I trimmed my eyelashes, and I decided to join the organization of black students so I could apply to medical school as a black man. I also used my middle name, Jojo. I subsequently interviewed at medical schools across the country and managed to get waitlisted at Washington University and the University of Pennsylvania, then ranked the second and the third and fourth best medical schools in the country, and got into St. Louis University School of Medicine, despite the fact that my pretty pitiful 3.1 GPA was dramatically lower than their average of 3.7. Now, I wanted to mention a statistic you mentioned earlier in the program, which is that the majority of Harvard is now a minority. And I don't think that's true. I think that's very deceptive, because I think you're forgetting about the Pocahontas factor. And that is that there's a large number of people who are whiter than winter in Alaska who pose as minorities based on flimsy reasons. And as a result, it skews the statistics because they know that it can improve their chances of admission. So
think about this, y'all. Black Americans are not able to do what the immigrants are getting away with doing. We can't waltz in college and pretend to be white. We can't waltz into college and pretend to be African, pretend to be Caribbean, pretend to be anything and reap a benefit. But it all is easy for anybody to come along and pretend to be African American to reap the benefits that's supposed to be tailored for us. This is why many of us are changing our identity, dropping the African American term, because we now see that it has been used and applied for scamming. And Trump, I know, understands this. He understood it through Kamala Harris when she pretended to be an African American, knowing full well that the bitch is Indian, more than likely white. Her father is a Jamaican, looking Indianish to me, have no lineage, bloodline, history, story of significance here in America, chattel slavery, or any other connection to my bloodline. Yet she was running around declaring to be African American. She was running around talking about she cooks greens in the bathtub and all this other foolery, which people argued, the Democrats argued with Black Americans that did not accept the lie of Kamala Harris as being so-called African American. And luckily, by the grace of God, a lot of us were insulted by her being propped up as an African American. A lot of us decided not to vote altogether. I voted for Trump, of course, and Trump won. And I am I'm not going to say I'm overly happy that he is the president, but I am more satisfactory than I would be if Kamala Harris was president. And the reason being is because Kamala Harris is in tune with the immigration and the illegal plight versus the American plight. And that includes white folks or any other people that are American, homegrown. Most of these Democrats for many, many years have abandoned the American people, the vets, the disabled, the homeless, the true Americans that go to work 9 to 5, working every time they turn around, paying taxes and all these other things. They're not given the help and consideration and concern that they are needing. It has been replaced by illegals and the immigrants for the Democrats. And we are seeing and witnessing the Democrats running around like Karen Bass, handing out checks to illegals. We hear of Brandon Johnson of Chicago, mayor, set aside migrant money, illegal money. These people have shown their hand as being our ops. They are not for Americans, especially Black Americans. They utilize our fight and our struggle and our past to say, hey, this is what other groups are experiencing right now. We should give them the same courtesy that the Black American had to die over. They use our deaths, our fight, and they just hand it over to illegals and immigrants. And I have a problem with that, because our death was not for others to benefit off of. It was for us to benefit off of it. And then somehow, people are butthurt that we are wising up to what the game and the scam has been about all along. I knew of it before most of anybody, to be honest with y'all. A lot of people back in 2018 and 19 were talking cash baloney, cash shit about me being a hater of Africans. And I just knew something was not quite sitting well. I knew something was not quite right. So let's take a look at this one video. Let me see, where was I? I want to show y'all what really got me going about these illegals to cause me to really want Trump to be in office. This might not be the right phone. Well, let me just put it in. Illegals. I'm just going to give y'all an illustration. Crossing border. Okay. There's just so much that has transpired, but I want to show y'all something that was startling to me a couple of years ago. And this, when I saw this video from CNN, I was like, oh no, this got to stop. But let's look at this real quick.
According to Customs and Border Protection, this disruption about 1:30 on Sunday, and this happened at the Paso del Norte Bridge in El Paso, Texas. Now, this connects El Paso to Ciudad Juarez, Mexico, and CBP says...
Look at all these people, y'all. All these people running free and clear in our border 2 years ago. I knew that there was a big issue going on then. Let's look.
That they deployed physical barriers to stop this attempted mass entry into the United States. Why are we seeing this right now? We probably remember the immigration policy towards Venezuelans changed in October, and since then there's been a swelling of Venezuelans in Ciudad Juarez on the Mexican side. According to Customs and Border Protection, this disruption
again, it was videos such as that a couple of years ago that really had me like, what the fuck is going on? I started putting two and two together that the Democrats, alongside of George Soros, who is a globalist, were trying to take over America. And they deliberately were flooding America to replace Americans with immigrants and illegals. I know that a lot of Africans and Carribeans that are struggling in their home country see America as a beacon of hope, but I see it as an infestation, in all honesty, because our government cannot sustain all those people and take care of them and house them and feed them and clothe them. We can't do that. I wish that the Africans and the Caribbeans would stay home, fight their government, change their government, just like the Burkina Faso Captain Toure did, and work by doing what they got to do to change the situation on the ground in their home country. Unfortunately, y'all just don't feel the need to sacrifice. Y'all feel the need to sacrifice other people or use the sacrifices of other people to advance yourself. And you think that that shit is something to be revered and respected, and it is not. A lot of you guys bring y'all asses over here to America talking cash shit about Black Americans. You don't have no words for nobody other than us because you feel like there's no consequence for talking shit to us. But this go around with the deportations that came from nowhere because of Trump, now you guys are scrambling and talking about unity, talking about why can't we become one? Why can't we do Pan-Africanism and love on one another? Again, y'all didn't give a damn about what was happening to America. You didn't give a damn that you were overloading the system. You didn't give a damn that America was turning into a second or third world. You did not give a damn. Then suddenly you guys are hemmed up, jammed up, fucked off. Now you want little old Black Americans to give a flying fuck about y'all. And we can't, because y'all would never give a flying fuck about us. We seen it. We seen all the discussions on YouTube. We seen all the videos of y'all mocking us, talking shit to us, bashing us, blaming us, degrading us. All the things that you could conjure up, you guys did freely. You guys thought that you had it in the bag. You guys thought that you guys were in like gin. Biden gave this impression that you guys were untouchable. And y'all are running around willy-nilly, acting a fool and showing your asses off and thinking that we were going to turn around and kiss your ass. Well, this is a new day. Black Americans are not going to be anyone's bitch, hoe, sacrificial lamb for people that are just trying to feast off of us and our legacy and our voice and our struggles and our civil rights and everything that's connected to us. We don't want no part of your hustles no more. We see it for what it is, and that is to the ones that it applies to. If it doesn't apply to you, if you came over here and you didn't come to be a leech, you didn't come to hustle, you didn't come to scam, you came here on your own merits, you worked hard legally, I'm not referring to you. I'm referring to the ones that came over here illegally, that bum rushed the system. I'm referring to the ones that stayed past their visas. I'm referring to the ones that used the name African American and got scholarship they shouldn't have gotten, elevation off of our name, claiming our identity. I'm talking to y'all. Y'all really thought y'all had it going on, and then Trump came and swatted y'all down like a fly. And he exposed all the stuff that was going on, in addition to me watching and observing for myself. So this Pan-African talk, like I said, I had to look it up. And as soon as I read what it was, I just was like, this is one-sided. It's talking about a global nationality type of identity, talking about kind of like connecting to Africa and being one and all this type of crap. And it just felt like a fantasy. It felt like people trying to get us to do something that they weren't willing to do. I'm noticing everybody is volunteering Black American resources, volunteering our time, volunteering our voice, our struggles towards Africa without our permission. Which brings me to the African Union. The African Union, I must say, y'all are going to get a cease and desist. I'm going to speak to a lawyer soon and very soon about contacting you. I know where you guys are at. For those that don't know, I'm going to say it where they're located. It is in Addis Ababa, spelled Addis. Second word is Ababa, Ababa, Ethiopia. P.O. Box 3243. That is their address. I don't know if they have any other zip code or anything, but that's what I have on this African Union paper that I got regarding Dr. Eric Kana firing back in 2019. But this is the beginning of me reaching out to a lawyer and others about what to do to stop the African Union from asserting themselves onto claiming me and claiming other Black Americans that did not want to be claimed. How dare the African Union decide to just go behind our back, come up with this idea that we're part of a jurisdiction, a region of Chapter 6 or whatever it's called, Region 6, declaring our reparations towards Africa, declaring our fight and plight towards Africa. Who asked y'all to speak for Black Americans? Most certainly not me. If y'all would have asked, I would have told y'all, leave me the fuck alone. I would have told y'all, worry about your own people over there in Africa. For instance, you need to be worrying about the Nigerians that are always being kicked out of different countries such as Ghana and other places of Africa. There is a movement of sorts going on saying Nigerians must go in Ghana. Why don't y'all Pan-Africans get on that conversation with the Nigerians and Ghanaians about why can't they get along? Why can't they become one? Why can't they be Pan-Africans? Why can't they love one another? Why is the bullshit talk of Pan-Africanism reserved only for Black Americans? It's because it is an agenda used exclusively to attach itself and colonize us towards Africa and them having ownership towards us, and we don't want it. I don't care that I may have an ancestor 400 or 500 years ago. That ancestor was discarded like a piece of trash. By the grace of God, that ancestor survived and kept surviving to make me. I only acknowledge the ancestors that have made it to America. That's it. That's all. You don't have the right to tell me my fucking story. You don't have the right to say what I should be more inclined to care about. Who are you to set my mind on what you want? Who are you to me like that? This is why I know many Africans and Caribbeans and Pan-Africans believe that they are superior to Black Americans because of how you guys move. You're moving very sloppily lately. You're showing your fangs. And again, I'm not having it. So what I'm going to let y'all know in advance is that, yes, I'm going to contact Trump, President Trump. I'm going to write a formal petition, a declaration, or whatever I need to do. I'm going to contact the African Union with a cease and desist and keep records of what I wrote in case we need to go to court behind that. I am telling the African Union, I'm telling the Africans, I'm telling the Caribbeans, I'm telling the Pan-Africans, I don't want nothing to do with y'all. I see your grift. I see your hustle. I see your scam. And I'm saying fuck off. Period, point blank. Fuck off. Leave us the fuck alone. If we wanted to get you to represent us, we would have contacted you ourselves. For the few that are okay with y'all representing them because they're crash dummies, they don't know no better, they're simpletons, they worship Africans in Africa, they need to be a part of a list that they sign on and declare that that's what they want to do. But it's not all of us wanting to do what you guys are claiming us on. And I'd be damned if I'm going to just idly sit back and let y'all do what you think you're going to get away with doing. It's not going to happen on my fucking watch. You fuck with the wrong one, you're going to get me coming out like I need to come out. And I'm not Islamic-phobic or none of that. But I did not choose to have someone represent me against my will. Again, I desire to maintain my own agency, autonomy, sovereignty of self, ownership of self, having my own mind, my own voice, my own views, my own choice, all of that. How dare y'all just come from nowhere claiming people that didn't claim you first? That's why I know that you guys are on some bullshit and y'all need to be stopped. Trump needs to know to nip all the scams of all you immigrants that are doing what you're doing that you should not be doing. What's up, Jackie Nettles Fuller? How are you doing? Thank you for coming through. I really appreciate you. If y'all have not yet, please hit the like button. Please share and subscribe to the channel. I do know that this channel is more than likely not showing as many views as my other channel, of course, but it needs to be stated. And like I said, let's look at what is going on here with the African Union. First and foremost, this comes from Black Alpha Network. Shout out to him. He's a foundational Black American. I consider him also an indigenous American Black or Black American non-immigrant group content creator that is on fire right now, speaking truth about a lot of different things. And one of the things that he talked about was the African Union taking it upon themselves to speak for us. And I want you guys to hear a little snippet of what he had to say and showcasing on his platform. Please check him out. Again, Black Alpha Network. This comes from talking about the reparation conversation. So let's get to that.
Are the main culprits behind this, all right? The Democrats have been the main ones facilitating all of these pushes to make foundational Black Americans Africanized. This is a big apparatus that goes all the way up to the UN, I promise you guys. Shout out to this sister right here, because this sister right here has been doing hellified work. And she's been really exposing a lot of the things that's been going on with this and how they've been trying to tap in to our $1.7 trillion. Everything with these people is about money, family. Watch this and how this sister clinically breaks down. She says Black Americans are being used, okay, as a pawn to rebuild Africa. I told y'all, Africa will not be built unless Black Americans do it. This is why they send over Akon. This is why they got Michael Blackston, who all comes over here to America. We've been watching these people talk about us going back to Africa, thinking it's just about going back to Africa. No, it's about bringing your money with you. This is it. Africans are trying to colonize Black Americans, and Africans are trying to use Black American money to rebuild their nation right at the same time that Donald Trump cut them off.
Region of the African Union without us knowing this. And it's quite interesting because Haiti wanted to actually be a part of the African Union, but they rejected Haiti's application, okay? But somehow we ended up in some, and majority of us had no idea that we were even a part of this. Now, on the post when we previously wrote this out and talked about it, many of y'all asked, okay, so what the hell is this? We all figured out we did not know. I knew what the African Union was. I didn't know we were a part of it. And we started breaking down and figuring out the agenda, right? What is their agenda? What is it they want? What is it that they're trying to achieve? I assure you it's absolutely nothing that has to do with really America or Black Americans as a group. But let me go ahead and show you what I found. So this is African Union, the Diaspora Division. The Diaspora Division serves as the focal point and hub for implementing the African Union decision to invite and encourage the African diaspora to participate in the building and development of the African continent. Its main...
Let's stop right there real quick. The development of the continent needs to come from the continental Africans who are scurrying all over the place. It is their problem. It is their business. They should fork the money out to do what needs to be done. There's over 1 billion of them. Yet the emphasis is always on Black Americans. Y'all want to know why? They desire these elitist Africans, such as Dr. Ericana Kwahombre Kwao, desires to solicit us, not even solicit us, but to force us to become debt slaves to Africa. That's what I discovered back in 2020. There is a lot of debt that has been acquired by Africa by the usage of Chinese development, railroads, ports, buildings, and other stuff that they have built, electricity and all kinds of stuff that Chinese have done over the decades or whatever, how long they've been doing it. And they have gotten billions upon billions of dollars of debt that they owe China. They would like to use us to become debt slaves to these different projects, these different developments. They see us as debt slaves. I don't want to be no part of a debt slave. We were slaves years and years ago, but we are not wanting to be Africa's slaves. Sorry. If Africa is going to improve, it has to come from the continental Africans to improve it. And it has to be the sacrifice of the Africans to go ahead and sacrifice. But the issue with Africans, not all, but the ones that are in power, they don't want to do the sacrifice. They don't want to risk their life. They don't want to spend the money. They want to get their hands dirty. They want to have a good time drinking and dancing and eating and sitting their asses down, ordering other people to do their deal, their bid. And they think that we're supposed to be the crash dummies to do their bid, and we're not going. I'm letting y'all know flat out, we're not coming to save Africa. We're not coming to build Africa. We're not going to be your debt slaves. We're not going to be your bitches and hoes. We're not. But that's what you guys have in your heart. That's what you have on your mind. And this is why I've been exposing Africans like I have. Now, there are decent Africans out there, but those are the ones that are not connected to being Pan-Africans. They're not connected to the elitists. They are living in Africa, doing what's right for themselves and Africans. They are not worried about me specifically. They're worried about the conditions on the ground of Africa. And I salute those type of Africans and other Caribbeans that worry about their own shit at their own country, in their homeland. The issues that I have with Africans and Caribbeans are the ones that are in America or Canada or Britain or wherever outside of Africa, worried the fuck about Black Americans every fucking day you turn around. They're worried about our identity, what we call ourselves. They're worried about what we're talking on. They're worried about what we're saying, what we're doing or not doing. They're consumed and they're obsessed to hell to pieces about us. They really think that they should be in charge over us. They should be ruling over us. That's what they have in mind to be about, the relationship of them having ownership and rulership over us. And that is not what I will sign up on. This is what I do not want around me. Any Africans that have the superior mindset, you need to go find other Africans to apply that bullshit onto them and leave Black Americans the hell alone. We are not obligated to do anything for Africa. We don't owe nobody shit. Technically, if we wanted to be technical, if there is an ancestor from Africa, y'all owe us for putting us or selling us to the America, to America. But I just don't want no parts. I'd rather just be left alone. I'd rather y'all just go find your own people to go build Africa, go sacrifice yourselves, and go do what you got to do to make things better. But again, you guys have a disposition of wanting to have ownership over us, and y'all didn't never think that we was going to figure it out. And we have figured it out. That's why we're speaking now. That's why we're being very vocal. That's why we're showcasing what we find out and figure out, because we're not going for the okie dokie. Let's get back to this.
Task, therefore, is to serve as a catalyst for rebuilding the global African family in the service of the development and integration agenda of the continent. Are y'all peeping and clocking that language they're using? Are y'all clocking that? It's main.
Yeah, he said for us to service, for us to serve, like I just said. Bingo. Listen.
Task, therefore, is to serve as a catalyst for the rebuilding the global African family in the service of the development and integration agenda of the continent. This division is under the Directorate Office of the Department and takes directives and instructions from the Directorate Office. Okay. The main constituents of the diaspora division are the African diaspora. The African Union defines the African diaspora as consisting of people of African origin living outside the continent, irrespective of their citizenship and nationality, and who are willing to contribute to the development of the continent.
I'm not willing to develop anything on the continent. So for those that have captured the African American term, trying to capture us to be a part of this region, the sixth region, I'm letting it be known to the African Union, because I'm going to tag you in this video. I do not desire to have nothing to do with y'all whatsoever, because I see what y'all intentions are on. I see that you guys think that we're supposed to serve and service Africans. And I'm telling you, hell no, I'm not doing a goddamn thing for y'all. Go get the Africans that have fled, or in Africa somewhere. You got plenty of them. You have over 200 million alone in Nigeria. You have over 1 billion in Africa to choose from. You don't need to trying to put your claws and your vipers and your leeches and your claws onto the Black American. Again, I am denouncing, rejecting, telling you flat out, no. I don't want no part of the African Union. I don't want y'all having anything to do with my name, whether I acknowledge African American or not. I'm saying I am not going to help build nothing. I don't want nothing to do with y'all. Leave us alone. And there's many of us, there's millions of us that's going to be speaking out, and we're going to let our voices be heard. So just know that we're coming.
In the building of the African Union. Its constitutive act declares that it shall invite and encourage the full participation of the African diaspora as an important part of our continent in the building of the African Union.
Freeze. Key part. Invite us to rebuild the union, which is Africa. There goes the invite for us to come and do the heavy lifting. Notice, you guys, it has nothing to do with the minerals and resources that they've been out there giving away. At the same exact time this is occurring, and shout out to this sister, because she's catching all the little loaded language in there, okay? They're out there trying to make it look like they're inviting us to come rebuild something. So while you go over there to help them rebuild, they're actively selling their minerals and resources to China and all those debts. So what it is, family, is that we are paying back the loans in which China is calling back onto Africa. You can't make this up. I told you we're going to take it to another level today. Let me unpack that, fam.
Again, I said this 3-4 years ago, verbatim. It's never been about unity. It's never been about us being improved or included as family. It's always been about these debts to China and the IMF and the World Bank and other individual investors that they take money from, and they owe that money plus interest They look at us as a way of helping them pay back the debt that they have garnered. While these slick, elitist leaders have stolen and pillaged from their own people and pocketed all this money, they got the nerve to fix their mouth and eyes and affix it to Black Americans as a way to help them deal with the debt that they have taken and trying to apply it on our backs. That's not what I'm going for. That's not acceptable. And that you guys are called out. And I know that many Africans listening or seething, how dare I speak so brass and truth about what it is that I have noticed and see. But let's get to one of the, types of scams that we have learned about. You guys talk about Wakanda City. Akon was just called out for his scam of Akon City. Again, he came out years ago, about 6-7 years ago. He took on $6 billion loan from China to build this imaginary city in Senegal. And now it's all come to light that he has been kicked off the project to build in Senegal. The people finally understood that he was full of shit. He was bullshitting. But what Akon was hoping to do was to get Black Americans on board to fund this fake Wakanda scam, this Akon City scam. Most of us did not want no part to do with Akon. We did not touch anything regarding that fictitious, futuristic city. Only a handful put their neck on the line for that. I saw the bullshit as it happened, but this is a prime example of what I mean, the types of African I can't stand.
Smart city in Africa.
And are you working on that now?
Oh yeah, we're in process working on it as we speak.
Remember Akon City, which was being created by the one and only Mr. Smackdat himself? A $6 billion project where he wanted to, copy paste Wakanda, except the building looks like glass vibrators. He also wanted to have his own currency called A-Coin. At this point, with all the, the city being named after him, they were going to have a coin, their own currency for Akon City called A-Coin. Everything was named after him. Honestly, I think he wanted to be the dictator of his own city. And instead of people chanting Wakanda forever, I think it was going to be Akon forever or something. He never told us because I think the dictatorship was going to be a surprise for everyone. Welcome to Akon City. You all will worship me now. At best guess, but we will never find out because I have a very shocking news for you. This will, your jaw will drop and you'll go, what? No way. There will be no Akon City. It's officially over. The project has stopped after they've built, I don't even want to say a house. I don't know what the fuck you're going to call that. I don't even know what you can call this. Honestly, with all the shit, with the way the building looks like, maybe in this one you go in and you go inside a machine and it makes your ding dong bigger. If actually in 500 years from now they're able to build this city, not Akon obviously, but someone else, I won't be surprised if there's a make a ding dong bigger machine.
So where is Akon City at right now?
We're still on track. So now we're in a stage of feasibility studies, environmental studies. Those are things that you can't do it unless you're actually on the grounds. So that kind of lacked up a little bit, but now we're back pretty much on track, still moving. Now construction is starting 2023. But we still have the 3-year window for the first phase to be done. And our goal is to be the first phase to be done still by 2026 to make the Junior Olympics in Senegal.
Okay, so by 2026, what will we have in Akon City exactly?
Right now, you're going to have the hotel.
Okay.
And you're going to also have the Akon Tower, which is built, which is a corporate building.
The Akon Tower in Akon City. I love it.
I'm telling you, he was going to surprise everyone with dictatorship.
And the thing about these scamming Africans, they know how to visualize a scam for you to accept. Well, not me, because I knew that the futuristic city was impossible to do. I thought it was ridiculous. It reminded me of the Jetsons cartoon back in the day that used to have ships that flew in the air and people having automated food and TV service and all this other futuristic stuff that the Jetsons used to show. Jetsons used to show. And I was like, that's hogwash, is bullshit, is never gonna happen. But there he was painting the picture of a futuristic city. And a lot of people took the bait. I don't think millions of us took the bait. I think that maybe tens of thousands took the bait and they invested. And they lost their investment trusting this lying, scamming, conniving, sneaky ass African Akon. But he wasn't the first one that brought to my attention the scam of Hope City. Hope City was another city that was supposed to be built in Ghana by President Mahama, I believe back in 2017. It was supposed to be a technological city that was supposed to be built that never seen the light of day. And I started understanding a pattern that Africans just say whatever to get investors to give, and they get to get the money up front and they get to run and do whatever they want with the money. And if it doesn't come to light, this project, these plans, the city, oh, well, you're asked out. You just get burnt and have nothing. And also, Dr. Ericana also brought out talking about Wakanda City back in 2019. And of course, she has not done anything referencing a Wakanda City in Ghana. But of course, there are examples of her talking about it. Let me see if I can find that video to just show y'all how deep this hole goes, this rabbit hole goes, and how easy they lie to get your money. They say anything that comes to mind, and they get actual people to contribute money and believe the lie in which they're selling. And this was a lie told by Dr. Ericana. There is no Wakanda City in Ghana. Of course, all that money that she acquired from the ADDI, since she developed it, I believe since 2018 or 19 and still ongoing, she talked about it here.
Why Wakanda? You know, when I went to watch the movie, The Black Panther, I was so inspired. And that's where the name came from. It rings, it says something, speaks to our soul as a people. You know, people actually think there's a country called Wakanda. There was a debate online about there were serious problems in Wakanda. The leadership of Wakanda. And people were calling in, talking about, yes, I heard about the problems in Wakanda. Oh no, you're kidding me.
And yeah, the mocking was real. The lying, the mocking, the declaring of doing a Wakanda City was all fun and games. It was all a joke because it was never going to be a reality. They were laughing to the bank. They were laughing with your money, toying with your emotions. This same Dr. Ericana I just showed in the video back in 2019 was fired for fraud, according to the African Union. It's not alleged. I have the paperwork, the document that described the true essence of why she was fired, just to let you see. I have talked about her firing in depth on my other platform. And this, again, was about her position being taken away due to her having fraudulent activities unbeknownst to the African Union. her utilizing the African Union logo, her presenting herself as, or other people that she hired as officials of the AU programs and or AU organs without their knowledge. She also used the name of the African Union. She registered the official physical address of the African Union Mission in Washington as their legal and financial domicilium, if I'm pronouncing it right, I'm not sure. She also, in some of these entities, were legally registered to the U.S. Internal Revenue Services with diplomatic tax certificates applied for by Dr. Qual, or Dr. Ericana, I should say. She raised or received funds in the name of the African Union. She collected donations from private sector entities and companies like Chevron Oil Company. These donations and funds were collected in the name of the African Union mission with no evidence that any amount collected were deposited in the AU accounts, including but not limited to the amount of $10,000 donated by Chevron Oil Company, a private entity headed by a certain Melvin Foote, confirmed that they utilized the funds for unknown activities unrelated to the African Union or its mission in the Washington, D.C. I'm just reading some of the letter. I'm not reading all of it, but I'm going to read this last paragraph just to let you guys know that this was official. It says, in this regard, the African Union Commission has written confirmation from Dr. Qual that the aforementioned initiatives, activities were her private engagements initiated by herself with no relationship to the African Union, nor any of its organs. So she actually scammed the African Union, utilizing the post of her ambassador position to garner money that they didn't even know about. Okay? So there are a lot of reasons why Black Americans cannot trust many Africans because of their scamming ways. They are liars, a lot of them. Lie just to lie and get money and scam and make up stuff. And, you know, it goes on and on. There have been many, many people that claim to be Pan-African, especially her and others. Akon was using that Pan-African stupid talk, telling Black Americans they need to come to Africa. They need to build Africa. They could do so much better in Africa, wanting to isolate us and keep us away from our home country of America to be serviced for or servicing to Africans. And that's just not what we as Black Americans would ever want to sign up for. And that's what Africans and Pan-Africans need to get. In the African Union, again, you guys have no authority. You did not get permission from me and from us as a collective to represent us. And I'm trying to let y'all know in advance before I get to the cease and desist letter or whatever I got to do to stop representing so-called African Americans, Black Americans, Americans. Leave us alone. Now, to pick up where I want to change the conversation a little bit, let me get to this next video. I hope that if you guys do hear the video that you would support by hitting the like button, share and subscribe button. This notion of Pan-African talk, when there's evidence showcasing a lot of issues going on with Africans in Africa, not being Pan-African, not having brotherly and sisterly love, it's all over the place. But online, Africans are able to pose as if they are loving and they care and everything's wonderful in Africa and this unity of Pan-Africanism can be realized. But there are videos showcasing the opposite of the lie in which they tell. So I'm about to show this video real quick, some of it, to show y'all what's really going on in Africa.
See what they are doing to us. We were asked to move out unaware. They came from the court of law. I don't know who they are. They just came with the police and said we should move out. We got this apartment. It's not up to it yet. They sold it out. The name of the phone landlord is
There is take your 5 minutes. Yeah, so thank you, Evans. Thank you for your advice. But the fact still remains. We'll still make it clear again. None of Ghanaians hate or have any hatred attitude against Nigeria because we've been living with them for so long. But the fact still remains. These are the matters. See, there's something called matches. It's not only the stick that can bring fire. You have to press a trigger something with the box before you can get fire. Ghanaians have experienced Nigerians for so long. After the 1983 Ghana Must Go issue that happened in Baba Kini days. When Nigerians came to Ghana, most of them have done something that it has caused pain in Ghanaians' heart. This is the fact on the grounds. When it comes to kidnapping, armed robbery, bullying, intimidations, and abusive, and in fact, doing all sorts of fuckery in this country. Now, all these things are in the hearts of or in the minds of Ghanaians. But because how we were brought up, that anytime you want to strike, you remember when you strike and you destroy it, go against you. That's how our rhythm says, our proverb says. So we always think, and it seems most Nigerians have never witnessed how Ghanaians, how we fight. They have never witnessed it. And I will give you an example. If you go to the northern region, you will see how we have our challenge over there. That is why when Ghanaians saw this man behaving the same thing that creates war in Ghana, that this tribal civil war in Ghana, we have started getting furious because we don't want this to happen again. Now, my brothers and sisters here, when we say Nigerians are causing problems in Ghana, we are not just hating them or we are just putting on them. These are challenges that we have evidence, clear evidence. And recently, we saw Anambra State governor or state senator saying that when you arrest 100 people doing kidnapping, armed robbery, any type of criminalities, 99% of them is Igbo. We are not saying, for me, we don't even know anything about Igbo or Yoruba or whatever. We don't have any issue with anybody. Until recently that we saw that man trying to give us a sense of an idea that a certain group of people called Igbo, and he's part of them. And when we track Igbo, it links the same people to Biafra people. Okay, so now we are coming back to our land and see who is this person. Now that we are realizing he's trying to build a certain people called Igbo. We thought we are all Nigerians. Now,
again, what's very fascinating listening to that is that man is describing what different tribes of Nigeria, they have their classifications, their identifications, their clear-cut tribes that are secluded from other peoples of Africa, and no one has an issue with them having their own secluded identity and tribe. But the same people that have their own tribes, their own identity that they will fight tooth and nail about, get online arguing with Black Americans about us now desiring to claim and have our own identity separate from all these immigrants that have come to America. The hypocrisy is real in Africans. For Africans that are having a big hissy fit about us claiming to be whatever we claim, which is Foundational Black American or ADOS or Indigenous American Black or whatever name other than the names that were governmentally given to us, it's our prerogative to self-declare our own identity. We have never, ever done it before. We have had generations where we were called colored, mulatto, Indian, Black, African American. Every 40 years or so, we have had a name change. And suddenly you get these Pan-Africans and these Africans that are hell-bent about their identity, hell-bent about their tribe, arguing with us about what we're calling ourselves, acting as if y'all have the authority over us. Get the fuck out of our face. That's why we know you guys are full of shit when y'all do that, because you know damn well you're gonna ride and die for your identity. You're gonna ride and die for Yoruba, Igbo. You're gonna ride and die as Fulani, as your Ashanti, or all these other names that I'm not even aware of. You're gonna ride and die for that claim. Somehow you think that you should have the authority to dictate to Black Americans what we're going to call ourselves, and we're telling you no. That's why you guys are butthurt about us claiming what we're claiming, because you can't utilize the name in which we claim, and you're big upset about it. But you're going to have to get over yourself, because we're not going back to the African American term. We're not accepting a term that has been utilized by so many other people that have nothing to do with the heritage and the lineage of our blood, sweat, and tears of America. We are tired of you guys getting over. I'm going to expose to President Trump the loophole of scamming that has been allowed to have happened with the usage of African American, so that hopefully he will get rid of that term, or understand why we are changing our name for our own peace of mind and our own sovereignty and agency, as our own ownership of our own self. That's why y'all mad. Y'all really think, a lot of you Africans really think that y'all should have control and ownership over Black Americans. That's why you run around talking shit. That's why you say we call ourselves Indians and all these other things. Again, you guys don't know the history of America. You don't understand that we are multi-raced people. We have been here for hundreds of years. We did not fuck one type of person to maintain one type of blood. Y'all play dumb, but you know better. You know better. But y'all act as if y'all can't learn common sense for some reason. And I'm hopeful that this video will wake y'all dumbasses up from your stupor, from your dreaming about being stupid about why Black Americans are deviating from the African American term. It's not about hating Africans. It's not about hating Africa. It's about trying to acquire our own individualized identity separate from you. You don't need to share an identity with me. You have your fucking own. Own it and leave us alone. But what I want to ask is why none of these panels, such as Afrodama's stupid ass, not talking about the Nigerian and Ghana clashing. Why won't he have a panel about this issue of Nigerians being kicked out on their ear everywhere they go? All kinds of countries don't want Nigerians there. They don't want them there in South Africa. They don't want them there in Ghana. They don't want them in the UK. And now we don't want them here in America. All these places don't want them there. And y'all steadily talking about Black Americans and what we're talking on. It's a scapegoat tactic that you guys use because y'all don't want to deal with your own pressing issue. And I'm calling it out. For instance, just recently, 27 Christians were slaughtered in Nigeria, including a 3-year-old girl. And why? because they're Christians. Why don't y'all have conversations among yourselves about this issue with beheadings of Christians and slaughtering of people because they have their own religion that they want to observe? Why do you guys forgo your own issue to continually talk about Black Americans only and be obsessed beyond recognition about us? Y'all look hella stupid out here when you guys do that. That's why we know that you guys are up on some bullshit and that you guys scamming spirit is out here roaming about, hoping to devour us and spit us out. And we are seeing y'all for what y'all are. And that's why this video is exposing y'all for what it is.
We have yet another horrific massacre against Christians in Nigeria to report on. 27 people, including a 3-year-old girl, have been killed in the most barbaric of ways. Masara Kim, a reporter for Truth Nigeria, joins us now. Masara, what can you tell us about this absolutely barbaric atrocity?
Yeah, so in the early hours of yesterday, that's July the 14th, a group of terrorists shouting Allahu Akbar on a long convoy of motorcycles, estimated by locals to be between 30 to 40, swarmed the peaceful town of Bindi, located about 35 miles southwest of Jos, the capital of Plateau State, killing at least at the moment 27 people that have been identified, majority of whom were burned alive in their homes, including a 3-month-old baby.
Burned alive. We don't do that. We are not truly Islamophobic, whatever way you call it. We don't go and attack immigrants and Africans in America. We're just describing what we're not liking about this Pan-African bullshit, about you guys trying to claim our identity and use it for scamming purposes, about disrespecting us and bashing us. We're standing up for ourselves, and y'all have an issue with us standing up for ourselves and using the vile word of Islamophobic. But y'all don't talk about this.
And a 3-year-old baby. In my report for Truth Nigeria, I mentioned the 3-year-old victim without realizing that as I left, the body of a 3-month-old baby was also identified. And the search has continued with many more members of the community, many more residents still unaccounted for at the moment.
Burned alive. What do you mean? They were trapped in their house? I mean, what exactly? I don't even. As a father, this is disgusting. But what can you tell us about that detail? Burned alive. What do you mean?
Yeah, so these terrorists swamped communities, broke into homes, and literally poured gas. They poured fuel on the sleeping residents and set the houses on fire. I mean, a local pastor who spoke to us, I shared his photo with you, said he was hiding in a gold room just within his compound of 2 brick buildings when they broke into his flats where 9 members of his family were sleeping, and he could literally hear them screaming and shouting for help, but absolutely no one could come to their help because the terrorists, more than 30 of them, had swarmed the compound. Some of them had gone into the rooms where these innocent residents were sleeping, and they had literally poured fuel on them and set the house on fire. So he could literally hear them screaming on top of their voices and shouting for help, but definitely no one came to help until they could no longer scream, they could no longer breathe. And in fact, when I got to that compound earlier at sunrise yesterday, the bodies of these victims were still smoking. You know, the houses were still burning and their bodies were still smoking. And many of the videos that I've shared with you might not be good for the screen, but I mean, it's important to understand the horrifying nature of these attacks, which, by the way, follow a pattern of violence by these terrorists who have killed more than 1,000 people in the last 10 months.
More than 1,000 people in the last 10 months, and no Pan-African, no African, no Caribbean that claims to be Pan-African, no American that is Pan-African, such as Afro Think Tank, has touched this story. They continuously bring us up instead when the real issue at large is over there on the continent of Africa. This is pretty extreme that people are being burnt alive for simply becoming or being Christians. And yet no words from Africans and Pan-Africans about it. That lets you know that there is an agenda going on. I believe that Pan-Africans are globalists, Marxists, working with globalizers such as George Soros in hopes to dismantle America, to collapse America. They would like to dismantle America, which would leave us fucked off. I don't want to think of America going down the drain, because where would that leave the Americans? But immigrants that come over to America and or Africans, they don't have a love for America like that. But they want to utilize and benefit off of the struggle of Black Americans for free. They want what we earned through blood and death, and they want it handed to them for free. Of course, Trump has talked about the birthright citizenship amendment, Amendment 14. He is trying to reset that amendment to only mean what it was meant for in the beginning, which was for the babies of slaves, the chattel slavery rather, of America and their descendants, which excludes the immigrants that have come over here willy-nilly, bum rushing the border, coming over pregnant on purpose, dropping their babies off to become citizens, and abusing the system. Trump has declared he was not going to keep that in motion, and I'm glad that he's trying to make an adjustment, because it's not fair for the amendment to be used by scammers. Now, as I stated before, that African American term has been very disruptive and dangerous for the usage of other people to advance over the Black Americans of America. I could not believe when I heard this story about the Zoharan Mandini, who is an Indian from Uganda, decided to put on his college application that he too was an African American. And so it's so shocking to me how Africans and illegals or immigrants are still playing dumb about not understanding why we don't want that name no more. Listen to this really crazy story right here. This guy is trying to be a candidate for mayor of New York.
Thrilled to be joined now by filmmaker Ami Horowitz. Ami, thanks so much for joining me today. I want to talk about some breaking news out of New York City. And I've spoken on this program before about Zoran Mamdani, the Democrat socialist running for mayor. He's won the Democrat primary. Fascinating revelations in the New York Times that when he applied to Columbia University, and this has all come out because Columbia University's records have been hacked, he applied as partially African American. Well, he's of South Asian Indian parentage, but he was born in Uganda. But doesn't that kind of make him about as much of an African American as Elon Musk, who was born in South Africa?
Yeah, look, James, we're all African American, right? Because we all come from Africa. So I guess technically that's true. I mean, he's got as much African American as him as Elizabeth Warren has Native American. So yeah, no, that tracks. That doesn't. I mean, that's who we're talking about, right? This guy is look. Just recently, he was talking about his working class roots, how difficult it was in the mean streets of private universities and private high schools, growing up in the home of a anti-American celebrated filmmaker, an anti-American Columbia professor. Yeah, look, he has these problems because he couldn't get into these schools, so he's got to put his application. He's African American to get a heads up, and he can't win the votes.
Now, is that fair that a damn Indian from Uganda can hustle the system claiming to be an African American, and we as Black Americans who have been imposed with that term on our name not be livid about them bastardizing the term to scam the system? This is why we reject African American most of all. Secondarily, we reject African American because we never been to Africa. We don't have blood in Africa, relations in Africa. This is why we reject African American. It's not self-hate. It's not about hating Africans. It's not about being xenophobic, whatever way you call it. It's about we see the scam and how people have manipulated and utilized the term. And this guy should be banned and barred from becoming mayor, lying that he was an African American. But everybody's just so loose with it and lying about who they are. These immigrants don't care how they get over. They will use, steal, and kill to get over. And now they're very upset that we are recognizing their hustle and we want to nip it in the bud. And that's why you guys are mad.
Of working class New Yorkers, because they understand that they cannot afford to live in his fantasy world, right? His Marxist socialist, they live in the today. They live in reality. They live in the world where if you defund the police, they're not going to be safe. They can't walk their streets without the police, right? Look, he won the luxury belief crowd, right? He won Williamsburg, and he won Tribeca and Greenwich. You know what he didn't win? He didn't win the Bronx. He didn't win Washington Heights. He lost the Black and Hispanic vote, the working class New Yorkers. That's why he's got to fake everything. Fake that he's working class. Fake that he's African American. This is Mamdani in a nutshell.
And that's why the African American term needs to be put to rest, because not only are Africans and Caribbeans and non-Black people are utilizing that term, everybody's making out like bandits off of the name that we were imposed to receive from the government, and we haven't benefited one iota off of that African American term. Now we see that the African Union is ever so busy running around declaring us a part of their region, their sixth region, unbeknownst to us, without our acknowledgement or our consent. Everybody is deciding to just take their shots at us, use us up and spit us out like a useful tool to dispose and discard of whenever they desire to do so. And now you guys are confused and perplexed that we don't want no part to do with that African American term, because we know that you all have been hustling off of it, scamming it. And that's why we are putting it to rest. So let me see if I have one more video to show. I hope, and I see that many people weren't able to get a hold of this live. This is my backup channel, but at least it is going to be out there. But this just goes to show you how hypocritical Africans are, hypocritical Pan-Africans are. They want their cake and eat it too. They want to be able to double dip in our identity, dip in their own identity, dip in the immigrant identity, getting 3 scoops of advancement and advantage over the Americans of America. That has to stop. We are not to be used as footstools for everybody to elevate themselves over us. We understand, finally, praise God, that the Democrats are culprits with these globalists, with these Marxists, with these Pan-Africans, and they all have gotten together and declared working together against Black Americans to elevate immigrants of all sorts over Black Americans. And this is why I'm happy that Trump is the president right now, even though things are not 100% clear on what he's doing all the time. Is still a little bit better than I believe it would have been by giving it over to immigrants. I do not desire to see America given over to immigrants. Now, as I said before, there is nothing about me that has hate. But if you want to talk about the xenophobic violence of South Africa, I can show you an example of what that really looks like. I believe that there have been recent killings with Nigerians in South Africa. This video is a little bit older, but this goes to show you that there is no so-called Pan-African, and that the Pan-Africans are full of shit to try to sell a pipe dream to Black Americans about this global unity that's never, ever realized like that on the continent. They need to fix what's going on in this kind of scenario right here.
No, I don't know what happened. I'm scared too much. They bought the shop on Sunday. Then in the afternoon again, they went upstairs again and put it on. Put another fire again. To see how heartless somebody is. You want this place, it's not enough for you. You still go back again. Show me the love. Tell me, how does love and goes in there? There's no brotherly whole love there. We are all one Africa.
We are tired of being beaten every day. We are all Africa. Why must we be afraid to go to South Africa? Which South Africa has ever been better than Zambia? Which one? We want the ambassador to address us. We are tired. Enough.
I am not in support of violence, but Nigerians are the most accommodating people in Africa. For them to have reacted at this time, they seem to have been pushed to the wall.
Again, there is real xenophobic situations going on the continent for real. It's very peculiar how no Pan-African really talks about these incidences that occur on the continent. but they steadily stay up our asses speaking to Black Americans about what we doing, because it is an agenda attached to us and our identity. This is what I discovered in 2018 or 19, after observing for a while on YouTube, after listening to platforms talking about Pan-Africanism and seeing how the Africans were stir crazy about us not accepting being called African and not, cleaving to them as if we need them, like our life depends on it. They're acting as if we are their safety net, their the vest that you put on when you're about to drown. And it's not, it's clingy, it's desperate, it's weird, it's obsession, it doesn't feel good, y'all. For Africans and Caribbeans that do that, y'all need to know it does not feel good for American to experience the clinging, the desperation that pours out of y'all pores towards us. Y'all need to fix whatever's going on over there in Africa. That's my opinion. Y'all need to get serious about sacrificing for your future to be improved. You cannot designate Black Americans as being the sacrificial lambs for y'all advancement. Ain't nobody gonna sign up for that. Even the Pan-Africans that claim that they are Pan-Africans that are Americans, they're not risking their lives to be involved in anything that's going to risk their life like that. Not knowingly, although there are Americans that have lost their life going to Africa through land situations and building homes, and mysteriously they came up dead and unalived. Loss of home and loss of property, loss of land, loss of money, scammed and unalived is what they ended up finding out once they got to Africa. Because a lot of Africans, again, are needy, struggling, desperate, and when they see Americans, they assume that what they have, they're to get from them what they got. And we see it. We see all this desperation coming from your pores. Not all of you, but a lot of you. And we understand that a lot of you really think that you should be in the driver's seat, dictating to us every aspect of what we're to do and how that we feel and believe. And y'all ain't got it like that. Y'all ain't got it like that. We do not. You don't get to get that just because. That's something that you earn through generations of doing things back and forth, vice versa, to garner that type of respect, that kind of trust. You guys are asking for us to just give up trust blindly, give up faith blindly, give up our money, travel to Africa, attempt to build this, listen to y'all about projects that you guys want, imaginary cities that you claim you're going to erect, imaginary building on land that you're going to do. And it doesn't work out that well. And we seeing it for what it is. Why can't y'all get Africans on board to do projects and showcase, illustrate what it is that you want us to emulate? You guys don't want to do the hard work. You guys think that you guys are going to make us have to do it. And that is why we're never going to get along and see eye to eye. And I think a lot of Africans don't have common sense. You guys might be able to speak 3-4 languages. You might be able to understand a lot of concepts and ideas in education and whatever. But common sense is not so common when it comes to y'all. Y'all don't want to accept common sense and truth. Y'all don't want to understand for the sake of getting over and being ahead. And this is why Black Americans are waking up to the lies that you guys been telling. And y'all masks have slipped. You guys are no longer able to not reveal your true feelings because we're not being fake with y'all. We're not hiding our feelings with y'all any longer. And that's why you guys are getting stir crazy. Alfredamus acting a fool on this platform yesterday. Many other Africans on the platform talking shit. You know, talking about ghetto this and y'all struggling that. And, you know, all these things y'all willfully willing for us to have happen to us. I know a lot of y'all, for instance, are very jealous that we can't be deported. A lot of y'all, for the longest time prior to Trump coming to office, used to be on platforms fear-mongering Black Americans about the potential of being deported. And I kept telling y'all, we are protected under the 14th Amendment. We ain't going nowhere. Y'all were like, you can't be deported. Now we see the truth. We see that the immigrants and the Africans and the Caribbeans and the illegals are not so secure after all, but Black Americans are. And that's why you guys are butthurt about us not being into the fray of what you guys are partakers of. That just let us know in so many words that you guys really never liked us to begin with. And you never were apologetic about the slave trade. A lot of you guys find pride in that slave trade. That's the only time you guys light up. When y'all talk about the slave trade, we used to have power. We used to have kingdoms. We used to have an empire. We used to have gold and money and jewels and this and that and the other. But look at y'all now. Look at Africa now. It's not so glorified. You guys are scrambling out of Africa, hoping to be where the so-called past slaves went. And a lot of you guys are butthurt because the past slaves live better than y'all. That's the truth. Oh, well, that's the way the cookie crumbles. Sometimes, you know, karma is upon the people that were wicked in past times. Sometimes buyers or sellers' remorse is upon y'all. Y'all gonna have to rectify and remedy these wicked tendencies that you guys have developed generationally. The scamming spirit that y'all have, the backstabbing spirit that y'all have, the selling out spirit that you have, the pretending to be somebody that you're not to get over spirit that y'all have. All these things are being realized by Black Americans, and we are not going back to playing dumb or pretending that we don't see what we're seeing. And that's why I believe most of you guys are going stir crazy, because for the longest time, Pan-Africanism basically put people to sleep. It sing-songed them to sleep. It made them docile, scatterbrained, confused, unsure. And that's the way in which many of you immigrants would like to keep Black Americans. Because if you keep us that way, you can direct us. You can mold us. You can control us. And you can trick us into doing whatever you desire. Unfortunately, many of them are waking up now. Many of them have my mentality right here. I've had this mentality before FBA, before ADOS, because my spirit discerned what I knew wasn't right with Pan-African. I saw that it was one-sided. I saw that it was a way of controlling us while y'all get over. So that's why African Union, we're going to have to deal with you. I did not accept or will ever accept being a part of your region 6. Africans, again, for the ones that get the memo and can respect the truth that I've told, I salute you. I respect you. I hope the best for you. I know that what Africa has got going on is extremely difficult. There's just too many countries and too many people to really manage all at once when everybody's doing their own thing. Different cultures, different religions, different views, different traditions, all these different things it's very hard to just get one thing going in the right direction. But that's where you guys failed your people on, by trying to be all these different things that now has come to bite you in the ass. And the only thing that's going to save Black Americans is to own their own identity, have ownership of their own ethnicity, and gatekeep y'all away from our shit. So I'm trying to remind the people of the Essence Festival, next year we're gonna have to show out by not showing up at the Essence Festival. I say don't spend $1. Let those Africans get Africans and Caribbeans and Pan-Africans to pay for their own festival, to elevate their own culture. We're not paying for our replacement. No, we're not going to do that. And that's what you guys were trickery doing at this last festival. You actually were having us pay for our own cultural demise of the Essence Festival, which was our festival. That just shows how cunning many of you Africans are, how disrespectful you guys are, how dismissive you guys are. And y'all never thought that we would figure it out. A lot of stuff we're figuring out. And I'm saying that us as Black Americans have to stand up and not bow down, not worship Africans or Pan-Africans, because they're not worth that. Sorry. They ain't earned that reverence or worship. It is what it is. It's not hate, it's the truth. So with that being said, thank y'all for listening. I hope someone got something from this video. I know that a lot of people are not aware that I'm live, but if you could you please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And remember, I don't hate nobody, but I don't like liars. I don't like pretenders. I don't like sneaky, slicky types of individuals that have intentions that is not aligned with my thoughts and my views and my wishes. And for that purpose, for that reason rather, that's why Pan-Africanism is never going to go nowhere, because there's too many people trying to take advantage of Black Americans and leave us with absolutely nothing. The goal is to bankrupt us. The goal is to take everything that's attached to us towards Africa and leave us broken down, bankrupt, barren, without, assed out. That's what y'all elitist Africans and Pan-Africans and Democrats have in mind to do against Black Americans. Y'all have waged war against us, and we got to wage war back. So again, African Union, Africans, Pan-Africans, Caribbeans, We got to agree to disagree, y'all. At some point, y'all going to have to accept the inevitable, that the gig is up, the grift is over, the scam, the hustling has been discovered and is never going to go back and hide like it was hidden. Those days are over. We are too woke to ever go back. So I hope that you guys would take this information and maybe start talking among yourselves about elevating Africa for real. Talking about what's going on in Ghana with the Nigerians, what's going on in Somalia, what's going on wherever, tragedy in Nigeria is striking, in other places that is happening. Of course, Trump has nipped the USAID. He has taken that money away that used to help a lot of people medically, especially with HIV. And at some point, Africans, these leaders are going to have to get together to figure out how to support their people on the ground, because Trump is forcing this on y'all. Instead of y'all lashing out and trying to attach yourself to Black Americans, y'all need to reach out to one another and figure out what you're going to do moving forward. Minus thinking that we as Black Americans owe you anything, because we don't. And we're not obligated to you. You can say all these declarations and proposals that you want. It's not going to work, because we did not authorize and agree to what you're doing. And that has to be dealt with. For the ones that like to say I'm a Uncle Sam, not Uncle Sam, but a Sambo, whatever the hell, fuck you. I am me. And I'm not going to let nobody take advantage of me any longer, now that I know the truth. So please like and share the video, and bless up.